similarly for wind and things like that. So essentially, if we do that, that would be something like what we call as 3% of maybe 2022 would be some 300,000 megawatts. That would be 6,000 megawatts or something like that will have to be generated. So that is one direction. So that is one set of customers that we have. The other set of customers are the people who are rooftop, houses or small industries. They want to go the renewable way. So they have rooftops, but they would be all, the first one would be megawatts, which would be 25, 50, 100, 200 megawatts, that range. The second one would be all in kilowatts, maybe 100 kilowatts, maybe a house could be 2 kilowatts or something like that. A larger place like that could be 10 kilowatts. So there will be the two types of businesses. One is really industrial customers, other one would be small consumers, but there could be millions of them. In fact, I was talking to your professors. I said that if India, rather if the state electricity board allow reverse metering, then this rooftop will just explode. Because today our cost of energy is so high, solar through photovoltaic is reasonably attractive as an investment. I mean, it's not a great investment, but it's 7 or 8% return. Yeah. How much is the R&D? I don't know. I think this is called building integrated photovoltaic, BIPV. See, we talked about for the last at least 5 years for quite some time. I think that we don't see many BIPV installation where you have a transparent thing which generates some kind of electricity and at the same time cuts down the heat. I would give it as there are some pilot installations we have in Europe now. For it to become at least something more than a curiosity, 5 years. For it to become something more like a reasonable volume of the business, maybe another 10 years, not before that. So there isn't, we are pushing, I think there is a point up to which we understand right now. So right now we are able to generate through thin films about 12% in industrially efficient way. In the lab, demonstrations of 16% is there for thin films, which is the cheaper one. For crystalline silica, you have something like 20% as a norm, which is a more expensive material. So, but we need some other breakthroughs if we have to. So we're hitting at some laws of physics, we are into trouble with that. So I would say 5 to 10 years, you will see some reasonable installations of BIPV. But we need a few breakthroughs for that here. A lot of people are working on it here. Not just in our company, there are many parts of the world. Yeah, please. I think carbon credit market is dead now. That's our view, but I may be wrong. Because that's what, see, that's the unpredictability of this. The fact that the biggest reduction in carbon emissions came from shale gas was not foreseen even in 2008. By the way, shale gas is 180 years old. In 1830, it was the first gas that came in Illinois was shale gas. In 1977, is the first Department of Energy research on shale gas. 1997, the first commercial exploitation. It's not like it's new. People knew shale gas was there, but they didn't realize it'll be so abundant that it changes dramatically in 5 years. A large country like US to shift from coal to gas. And coal to gas is half. It cuts down the emissions by half. It's very simple. US had 50% of its power plants coal. And it has now come down to 30. Gas has moved to 32 from some 10 or something like that. And that particular 20% straight away shaves off 10% in this. And then there has also been progressively improvement in transportation efficiency. So therefore, there's a 20% reduction in the thing. It may not be enough to save the world on global warming, but it may help your next generation, your next generation. You are in trouble on global warming. Your next generation may be safer. We have anyway burnt up the world. Okay, I think Nag particularly, I think. He was in the US for 20 years, no? So burnt up a lot. Okay, we were frugal in India. Yeah, so a couple of questions.
Yeah, sir, how can the Indian solar PV manufacturing industry compete with China because they managed to give much cheaper PV cells.
Yeah, no, you have to understand that. Okay, I think that PV in crystalline silica, we don't stand a chance. But by the way, India never had a PV industry. We had PV assembling units. We didn't have an industry. We had large sized small scale establishments like a garage which was buying the glass, which was buying the laminate, which was buying the Q cells in a company like Q cells, which were buying the solar cells. They were just laminating it and assembling it with some 20-30 people, unskilled people. And so India never had a PV manufacturing in the sense of, did we have a cell manufacturer? No. Do we make the thing? No, we don't do that. So I don't think that. But I think thin films, India has a very good chance. If the world goes towards thin film and not towards crystalline silica, I think then you will find fabs will be coming into India. The way to drive that would be through some kind of a soft protection, to say that if you want a power plant to be certified in India, at least 30% of the value addition has to be in India. Some such criteria has to come. That's the only way to protect and develop the industry. But right now we don't have really, we have a lot of makers who assemble and only add 10% value. So it's, I won't say that in public, but that's the truth. Okay.
One question.
Yeah, last question. Boss is the boss.
We have been hearing a lot about policy paralysis in government. Can you just throw light about what kind of policies we need, especially in manufacturing sector? And the second question is regarding accessibility. How friendly today is our country?
Two complex questions. I think I wish if I knew this answer, then I would take the place of Raghuram Rajan. Okay, he is the economic advisor to the Prime Minister. I think that yes, there is very clearly a policy paralysis. For the last 3 or 4 years, government is just not moving. I think the problem is that it started with the telecom scam. So what has happened to us is that the result of the telecom scam is we're not closing it. Okay, and we have judges who are fantastically smart, economically illiterate. So they take decisions which are very good ethically, morally, but paralyzes the economics. So we need economic literacy in judiciary also to say, look, I'm putting a roadblock here for this mining because of 1, 2, 3 economic reasons, but if these economic reasons are overcome, then the thing is started. And today it's an amazing, the part of the policy paralysis is also a very deep problem. The Supreme Court gave a ruling in the telecom crisis, the telecom thing. They just gave one ruling, absolutely crazy ruling. I think it's in the 76th or 7th. The ruling said that India must auction all its natural resources. It's a very, very innocuous statement in a ruling. But you know what that means? You know what that means? You should be, not even be, your water for agriculture should be auctioned. Okay? So what is happening is that part of the policy paralysis is that there are lack of experts who are actually, we don't have adequate expertise in designing policies which will really make. So partly scam, corruption and other thing, partly also misguided attempts to direct executive to do the right things. Good intention but bad results. So today we have a crisis on coal, power plants are in deep trouble. So what I hope is, we are in a deep crisis on power. We don't have power plants coming. We'll have for the next 2 years power coming in if we resolve some issues. But we are not, this year we have not added enough new plants are not starting. When we say starting, it takes 5 years after you decide your location for a power plant. It will take 1.5 years to get the environmental approval. Even if you do parallelly, fast track, everything will take 5 years for a power plant. That means 2015, if you wanted a power plant to be in operation, it should have started in 2010. You don't have enough inventory of that. So those kind of issues, so therefore I have a feeling that Sometimes people say that India does very well in crisis. You know, we are a jugaad country, they say. So I have my own doubts, but I think that we are in that kind of a situation where we have to take very quick decisions on coal, power, and these two, and we really have to make the country attractive for investments. Today it's not. Okay, on the question of entrepreneurship, I think there has been quite a lot. I have seen over the last 5 or 10 years in the public space, I think the number of entrepreneurs in India have gone up tremendously, and their desire to grow, to scale up, to take risks, and those appetites have gone up. Of course, the entrepreneurs are facing red tapeism, bureaucracy, corruption, and a whole lot of those things. But I think that the entrepreneurship in India is definitely scaled up. We always had a lot of entrepreneurs, but many of them are very small. But there's definitely a scaling up factor which has taken place. So that has happened. I don't know whether it's just organic because of economic growth or whether there has been conducive atmosphere. I don't know. But clearly we need a good growth rate. I think 7 or 8% is a growth rate that the country needs if it has to fulfill its ambitions. Okay, that's it. So the last question, finish it? Last question, yeah. Where? If 2008, if I had lost money, then I wouldn't have been in the Pan IIT spending all the time. No, we've always been profitable, sir. But 2008? 2008 was not a thing. It's a post 2008, which was a bit of a crisis period, which is 2009. But 2009, we reacted quite well. I think globally, we cut down a lot of costs. We restructured many companies, and we shrank our what we call as a fixed cost considerably. We fortunately, in 2009, our cost of energy came down. The oil came down dramatically down, so we profited by all of that. But today, we are facing a even more tougher time than 2009. So we're still profitable, but we still have a huge challenge. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Can I ask your batchmates to come up here?
Sure.
No, all of you come, one of you can, I want all of you.
Come. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's nice. Thanks, guys.
Good, sir.
Thanks.
As usual, great.
Thank you. Take my computer.